Hey Jude.
I've been waiting half my life for you to wake up and love me. But I'm a school teacher and you are the world's greatest singer-songwriter.
I'm not.
Except for you are.
Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel over here at Broke Boy Media, and today we're going to be reviewing Yesterday, and I'm joined by Harlan and Devin, and my name is Christian as well. I probably should have introduced myself first, but that's all right. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I just got back from seeing Yesterday with my grandma, and it was a grand old time.
Did your
What
grandma
about you,
enjoy
Devin?
the film?
Oh, she loved it. She can't really hear a lot,
Yeah.
but she recognized that the Beatles songs were playing, and I think for her that was the treat. That was the real treat.
That's good. That's good, man.
I think it was funny that you said today we're reviewing Yesterday. It's pretty confusing.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I just saw it today as well. I actually just got back from the theater, like 30 minutes ago? Kind of, sort of?
I saw yesterday.
Oh, I saw yesterday, mate. I don't know.
All right, we're really gonna stick with these.
I can't do it.
I could try.
I
I can try it for a little bit, but it'll just it'll just sound silly after a while. But anyway, I'll just read the synopsis really quick for the film Yesterday. A struggling musician realizes he's the only person on Earth who can remember the Beatles after waking up in an alternate timeline where they never existed, directed by Danny Boyle. And we have a few stars in here, not to mention Lily James herself as Ellie Appleton. And we have a few.
She had a last name? Oh my god.
Right, yeah. I didn't know she had a last name. I was like, oh, I don't think they ever mentioned her last name.
Yeah, we're talking about the character, not the actress Lily James.
Right, yeah.
You have to
Her
refer to her as
character,
Lily
Ellie.
James, anytime you're speaking about Lily James.
Right. Well, yeah, we'll just say Lily James. Himesh Patel plays Jack Malik. He actually sings a lot of the songs too, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it was his first major role too.
Oh, really?
Good for him.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
So, breakout.
I also wanted to point out Joel Fry. He played Rocky, the guy with the super big afro. He was in a few episodes of Game of Thrones as well.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm like, wow, he looks really, really familiar, and I was like, oh, that's probably why. And there was someone else.
Ed Sheeran.
Alexander.
Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, Ed Sheeran, of course. Totally forgot he's in this movie for a second, but that's not the person I was talking about. I watched the Skins version of, the UK version of Skins. Excuse me. The guy who played Gavin, the second choice dude. His name is Alexander Arnold, and I recognize him from the show Skins, the UK version. 10 times better than the US version, by the way. But yeah, and of course Ed Sheeran himself. But so I guess we'll just get into it. So what did you guys think when you first saw the trailer? How did you think this movie was going to play out, or what were like your initial thoughts?
I thought that the trailer kind of gave away the whole movie, which was unfortunate in my viewing experience. But it turned out that the trailer kind of created this aura and this sensation of it being this huge, giant, big movie. And after watching it, it feels like a really small story, There's not really a big evil character, an antagonist. It's just Jack growing up and developing as a person and as an artist. And I liked that. It wasn't what I was expecting based off of the trailer. Because you think, oh, it's just going to be a big concert movie with a bunch of Beatles songs. But it's really not that. It's more of a romantic comedy.
It's not a biopic.
Yeah, it's not Bohemian Rhapsody. Thank God it was not Bohemian Rhapsody. But Devin, what about you? Thoughts about the movie before you went to go see it? Did you have high hopes?
Yeah, I thought the trailer looked charming every time I saw it. I know a lot of people were skeptical just because the premise is so wacky and crazy, but I kind of liked it, so I was excited.
Yeah, that is true. Like when I first saw it, I was like, okay, it's not a biopic, which I was really glad about. But this is like the fourth movie within like this past year that's heavily music based. We had Bohemian Rhapsody, we had A Star Is Born, we had Rocket Man,
Rocket Man,
and now we have Yesterday. So, but I mean, obviously, A Star Is Born wasn't a biopic, which is what I really liked about it. I didn't really care for Bohemian Rhapsody all that much. I mean, honestly, it was just like a giant Queen concert for music I could have just listened to on Spotify for like
Wow, this just in. Queen is music you listen to on Spotify and nothing more.
yeah,
Okay.
not even Apple Music, because Apple Music is garbage in my opinion. But that's my opinion. I really did enjoy Rocket Man. I thought it was a nice twist on the biopic. It was more of like a musical overall, which is very fitting for Elton John himself. But yeah, I didn't really know what to think of this movie at first. It was like, okay, it's just like them in the world living without the Beatles. But I started thinking, it was like, okay, well, it's kind of like hey, like if you went back in time and you knew like the lottery for like the next big like jackpot, like would you do it? Or like if you went back in time, like what would you do to make yourself profitable? Like when Apple stocks are down, do
Yeah,
you?
well, everybody's had that sort of variation of what
But
would you
this
do if
was
you go back in
interesting.
time.
Yeah,
I like the fact that this wasn't a go back in time. It was a what if this thing just never existed. I love the outlandish premise of it.
yeah.
It's very refreshing. And everyone's had that moment where, if like I don't know, for me it was like what if The Wizard of Oz was never written and what if someone didn't read that book and just made that movie just out of their own mind back in the
Right.
40s? Like what if the world had never experienced that? And I think this translates for a lot of people who really love music and really love the Beatles.
Very true. It's almost as if even for like the high fantasy realm of novels, if J.R. Tolkien never written Lord of the Rings series, because there's so many books and so many novels that were based. I mean, there's a lot of high fantasy. Like honestly, I don't even think Game of Thrones would have existed without, or A Song of Ice and Fire, which is what the books are originally called. But I don't think it would have existed without it, because George R. R. Martin looked up to J.R. Tolkien like so much, and it's like Tolkien's just influenced so many people. Or I don't know, let's just say if like Marvel Comics never existed, like we wouldn't have the MCU, we wouldn't have Spider-Man. It's like it's
that's
so
also
hard
kind
to
of
imagine
interesting.
what without them.
Because the movie even delves into it's not just the Beatles that everyone's forgotten. There's a funny joke towards the end of the film.
It was
where,
what, cigarettes,
cigarettes don't exist, Coca-Cola
and
doesn't exist.
the worst
Cocaine
of them
exists,
all,
thank God.
Harry
Harry
Potter.
Potter doesn't exist. I mean, in that situation, if you know this major property or this major band or anything doesn't exist, you would do the exact same thing as him. Absolutely.
I kept trying to connect the dots as to why those were the things that didn't exist, and I could never come to any conclusion.
I think they were just random things, because like it's just something you bring up in conversation.
Mhm.
Because like they bring him a Pepsi. He's like, "Oh, do you have any Coke?" And at first, I thought they were talking about cocaine, and then he's like, "Coca-Cola." They're like, "I don't know what that is," and it's just something random that just kind of just happens, and you're like, "Oh, okay." So the Beatles isn't the only thing that's been affected. By this
Maybe Danny Boyle's setting up a cinematic universe where someone rewrites Harry Potter. I've watched a bunch of movies like that. I'd love a bunch of cheesy. Yeah, go ahead.
A sequel where someone wakes up and memes don't exist.
That would be a terrible world to live in. I'm not gonna lie.
You have to somehow create memes and not get any money for it, because no one makes money from memes.
Text and pictures. What a revolutionary idea.
That reminds me of Caleb City. He's this one YouTuber. He makes like these super short, like random funny clips, and he actually made a video about, it's like if stealing a meme or making like a meme was like illegal, and they like go through this entire spiel where like the cops come to his door and like take him away and stuff. I just thought that was kind of funny, but I'll have to show that to you guys later. It's just so random. But yeah, man, I didn't know what to expect from this movie, but I do agree with Harlan's point. Like, I felt like I already saw majority of the film in the trailer, even though this is an indie film, which I always adore indie films in general. But yeah,
what did we think? Did we like it?
I did like it. I mean, I like the fact that, I mean, obviously we're just talking about spoilers here in general.
Mhm.
So Jack Malik, and there was like two other people in the entire world who knew about the Beatles, like that older, I think he was Russian guy with the beard.
An older Russian guy and an old English woman.
Yeah. And like at first I thought they were trying to like out him about it, like, oh, you didn't write these songs, and like
Yeah, the movie builds you up and expects you to sort of
yeah.
expect
They kind of were though, because they were like holding up the Yellow Submarine. They were like shouting, "Which one do you like best, George, Ringo?" Yada, yada.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird how they kind of just
Mhm.
180'd. I guess they were just trying to get his attention, but it was weird that they were still calling him
Yeah,
out.
because it had like an eerie like feel to it for me at least, and then they were like, "Oh, we just want to thank you for bringing
Mhm.
their music back into the world and whatnot." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's nice of them."
Yeah, there wasn't really a big antagonist in this movie that
Yeah.
was out to get him, which I really liked. I mean, you could make an argument that Kate McKinnon or the Deborah Hanger,
Ed
whatever
Sheeran's
her name was,
manager.
Ed Sheeran's manager, who I thought was absolutely hysterical. I
She
thought
was
she
so
was
funny.
incredible.
The deadpan was just
Mhm.
amazing every time.
I saw a lot of reviews that did not appreciate her performance and her character. I thought she was perfectly cast. and
Oh
so
yeah, like she was literally just like the essence of like what the music business
the
actually
essence
is.
of the American pop industry.
Yeah,
Oh, it was
she was like,
perfect.
I'm your manager, and it's your job to write songs and perform them, and I take majority of your check. That's literally how managers work, and songwriters and people who are
Yep.
just songwriters in general, because that is where the real money is. But I mean, Hamish Patel's character Jack Malik, we see him during the beginning of the movies. He's I don't want to say down on his luck, but he's like tired of
His luck
chasing
is
his
running out. Yeah.
yeah, he's tired of chasing his dreams. He's singing the summer song and over and over, but
Which wasn't that bad a song.
it really
It was a
wasn't.
good
I kind of
song.
liked it. I was trying to look it up on Spotify, but Spotify
It's
is
there.
letting me
Still
down.
picks you.
It's on
Oh, it's
Spotify.
on there. All right,
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up in a little bit. But I kind of like how it's kind of like a be careful what you wish for type situation too, because he gets hit by the bus and the entire world's electricity or whatever just shuts down for like 12 seconds, and then he becomes famous, and he kind of chooses fame first over love with
Well,
Lily
here's the
James.
thing. Here's the thing about that subplot. For those of you who haven't seen the movie or need a refresher, Lily James has been pining over this guy for probably just shy of 10 years, ever since.
And
he
we don't know
performed.
this.
Yeah, you don't know it
Yeah.
until they actually tell you, because they
Well,
don't
you
really.
kind of get that. I kind of got that vibe from the instant those two were on screen together.
Yeah, I was
mean,
like,
there was
oh,
some
like why aren't they
undeniable
like
chemistry.
together? Yeah.
hmm And so ever since he performed Wonderwall at their 10th grade or 10th form talent show or whatever, she was infatuated with him. And I feel that with the end goal and the story that they're trying to tell of music, bringing those two together, and he finally makes the right choice, and finally love becomes unblind or whatever, and he sees his manager or his former manager being the one he loves. I feel that setting it up with her pining after him for 10 years, doing all this shit for him is just so, I don't want to say unrealistic, but it kind of sullied their relationship for me, because I kind of hated him for not noticing her love
Yes.
and her affection for him.
Yeah, he
And
was
that
a bit
made
oblivious.
Yeah, and that made me, when she got together with Gavin, who's like his first recording producer or whatever.
Yeah.
Gavin,
When they
is
got
the,
together,
Gavin is the real hero of this
Gavin's
movie.
the
by
hero.
way.
Gavin's the goat. And I don't know. And I understand that it's a romantic comedy and a big fantasy, but that specific bit rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
I agree. The biggest issue for me is just it starts off as the first like hour or so is obviously like mostly about the Beatles, and it's a big music, almost biopic type movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then the second half just becomes like a very generic rom-com, and
Yeah.
it's like to me it's like they had this script for a very basic rom-com and they wanted to make it, but then they just like, what if we added the Beatles to it? That would make people want to watch it, right? And
Yeah.
it just doesn't feel like it fits together.
Yeah, that's true. And I know they actually pushed this movie up a few weeks. It was supposed to come out later in the year. I can't remember what the actual set date was for it, but they definitely pushed this movie up. Same thing with Spider-Man Far From Home, but that was only like a few days. Yesterday, this movie, it was it was a few weeks. But yeah, I kind of agree because I mean, obviously, like after a while, like especially when she sees him, crap, when was it? Oh my god, she like kind of leans in for like a kiss in a bit, but like he kind of
Yeah.
like turns his cheek.
When
So
she's dropping him off, she's
Yeah,
dropping
yeah,
his
yeah,
bike
yeah.
off, like at the end of when he says, "I'm never gonna do music again." It's like that was my last concert.
yeah, she was like a school teacher. He wants to go back to teaching, and I mean,
Mhm.
he does at the end, but he's like a music teacher in a way.
In a way,
And somehow
yeah.
the fame just
I don't know.
disappears.
How in the goddamn world could you deny Lily James? That's my question. For 10
Yes.
years? For 10 years?
It hurt me to watch.
10 years is a long time, and she was like,
It hurt me.
yeah, like she literally gave him every single chance, even when they were both in the coffee shop. He easily could have just said, you know what, this fame's too much for me, and you know, I thought I can handle it. This is something I've always wanted my entire life, and it's just, you know, it's too much. So like the movie could have ended right there, but there were so many, you know, ties to like, oh, you know, how does everyone, you know, eventually remember? Because I thought everyone was going to, but they don't. So I was like, okay, cool. But you know, he's still singing Beatles songs. But I like the Beatles as much as anyone else. So, but yeah, at first I didn't realize that this was an indie film until, well, for whatever reason. So I was telling Devin when we went to go see The Dead Don't Die. There's like an indie like theater in Nashville that they pull off pretty much every single indie film and show it at their theaters for like a few weeks, and then you know if AMC or whatever other company wants to pick it up and show it in theirs, they will. But so I went there to go see it. I had to pay extra. I couldn't use my movie pass there. But then, like literally, like a week ago, AMC's like, "Oh, you can go see The Dead Don't Die," you know, on AMC theaters now, and it's finally showing in actual theaters. I'm like, I really want them to just keep indie films in AMC theaters, or at least for me, so I don't have to go to like some high school auditorium and watch these indie films. Because I'll go see the films, I just hate the seats. I hate the atmosphere. But yeah, that was just a little bit off track. But
Here's another interesting thing that I'm reading up about the production of this movie. There was a love interest for Jack upon his arrival to America, played by Ana de Armas, but it was cut completely from the movie.
that would have been interesting.
And that showed up in the trailer, and I remember seeing her in the trailer and thinking,
yeah. Oh crap!
where
You're
did
right.
she go?
You're right.
Which is, I feel that was a good call. Seeing where the movie is now, I think throwing another woman into the mix would have really just sullied him as a character, because you're already, I personally wasn't on his side completely until maybe when he goes and sees John Lennon, which is,
Yeah.
I presume we can talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't expecting him to be in that movie. I was like,
I think it's an interesting choice because I saw somewhere that they were thinking about getting Paul and Ringo. I think Ringo's still alive.
Yeah, he's still
yeah, he is.
I think I saw somewhere that they tried to get them, but I guess they decided to do a fake John Lennon was the better option. I don't know.
Yeah, that kind
I
of
think
threw
It
me
was
for a loop.
weird.
I think in the moment I didn't connect because you know I didn't grow up with the Beatles. Well, I grew up with the Beatles, but I didn't grow up with the height of their popularity. I already,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know, I listened to them
none of
after
us-
John
none
and
of us
George
did.
had already passed away. Yeah.
Yeah.
How old are you guys again? But I think it's nice to know that there's that in this version of the world where the Beatles didn't get famous, that he's just a dude living in a shed, painting and being content with life. It's
Mm.
nice to have that and to know that if he wasn't assassinated, that's maybe where he would have ended up.
It's also weird though, because like on the other end of that, it's like they're kind of saying Beatles didn't happen, he'd still be alive, so you shouldn't have been in the Beatles. I don't know, that's weird.
I can understand that. Yeah, that's a bit odd.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, I want to talk about the thing I hated the most about this entire movie, and it still makes no sense to me.
What?
What the fuck was that James Corden scene?
Yeah.
They just
Boyle
cut.
really loves his
They just cut to black. Was it a dream sequence? They didn't even
It
like
was a dream
confirm that.
sequence,
It was
for
like
sure. Oh, it was absolutely a dream.
But
Yeah.
like, why?
That had to be.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I didn't really like.
I think that was his biggest fear. That was his biggest fear, that he was going to be exposed for a sham and be exposed.
I think they made that scene just to make the trailer interesting.
I think
Yeah.
you
That's
know
the
what? I
only
think you're
reason.
right because I was waiting for that scene to come, and I was like, man, like wait, like where's the twist? Where's the conflict? And then it ended up just being a dream. I was looking forward to seeing Jimmy Kimmel, some Fallon, but no, yeah.
Thursday Night Live. I like that the program still exists, but they just changed
Yeah.
the date.
Yeah. Pretty much. I was thinking about I was like, oh, like Graham Norton, maybe he's like another big British
Oh
talk
yeah,
show.
he is.
He's hysterical, dude. So funny. I love his talk show host.
I just hate dream sequences in movies. It's just so overdone. Just make it stop.
Although what I will say, I do like the fact that the story really stuck to the fact that, hey, the Beatles are not real. Or the Beatles never happened in this.
Yeah,
in
like
this
they
world.
didn't go
They
back.
didn't do a wake up, oh, he's fine. And the Beatles, of course, always still existed. I like that they committed to the fact that this weird electricity thing caused everyone to forget the Beatles.
And then him getting hit by a
That
bus.
never existed. Mm-hmm.
Which
I like that it stuck to that weird fantastical.
yeah, I'm glad that like,
realm.
it wasn't just all a dream kind of thing. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But who were your guys' favorite actors from the movie, just in general? Mine was
Lily. Lily.
Mine was definitely Ed Sheeran. Like every
Sheeran
scene
was
that he was
hysterical.
in.
Ed Sheeran was surprisingly a good actor.
There was a moment where I was like, what if Ed Sheeran was the main character of this movie? Like, what if it was about Ed Sheeran?
I thought
could've been.
I thought he was the one that's going to expose Jack, because when they do like the song write off,
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was gonna be like, oh,
He
like
just drops the long and winding road on him.
yeah. I thought he was gonna be like, oh, like, hey, like I know what's going on. This kid's like passing off, plagiarizing. I want to see like if he can actually write for real. And then he just comes back with another Beatles song. He's like, dude, I got like a whole closet of these songs. Like, let's go.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Ed Sheeran's ringtone was of
His own ringtone was Shape of You. That was the funniest moment of the entire movie.
He was great,
Him
man.
being self-aware was so perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely my favorite character.
I liked how absolutely gutted he was after he lost the song.
Yeah, he was like,
I'm
go
going to
sleep."
bed. I'm going to sleep. You're Mozart. I'm Salieri.
Right.
Good night, everyone. He was so pissed.
Well, like he's like, yeah, he's
But he was cool about it though.
right. He was like, if anyone wants to shag this guy, everyone in my audience are like, what? I literally had to yell out. I was
My
like,
audience was
it
dead
means
aside-
fuck. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it means. Like hook up, whatever.
My
you-
audience was straight dead. I would have let out a hearty guffaw or something. Maybe
Oh,
my mom
really?
would, but it would be just like no one else like laughed.
Oh, other than that,
Pleasantly.
everyone like had a great time. Like the audience I saw
Mhm.
with, they really liked it a lot. Like it was great. Like it was funny. It was honestly, I mean, I've liked it better than the past few movies I've seen. Men in Black, Chucky. And Chucky was Chucky, but yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? I don't know.
Have you guys seen Always Be My Maybe on Netflix?
I've not.
have.
Well, Devin thought he had the one up on me. He's like, oh, he's like, there's a special celebrity guest in. I'm like, I already know who it is, but I won't say it if you don't know who it is, Harlan. But just because
No, I know. I saw the movie.
yeah. Oh, you saw
I
the movie.
kind of see some similarities between those two movies. Just like
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but
similar
Why?
concept.
Well, we can review Always Be My Maybe.
I really like
dude,
it.
I'm down for. I'll watch it tomorrow after work.
There you go. Record it.
But yeah, I see some similarities with those two movies. So if you liked Yesterday, I recommend Always Be My Maybe, and then the other way around
Stranger
too.
Things 3.
I don't see the similarities, but I like both movies.
I think Always Be My Maybe did it better. The whole rom-com thing.
Oh, okay. I see. I was like, wait. I'm like, what is?
I'm
this
gonna
movie?
fat disagree with you there, but we can chat about that
Oh yes.
Oh.
in the review.
In the review. He's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm watching Spider-Man 3. Crap, what was I gonna say? I was trying to think of what else. like bugs me about it, but oh yeah, so there was one small issue. So Gavin, Alexander Arnold's character, you know, when after Jack like kind of confesses his love for the girl who he clearly should have been with these past 10 years, whatever, when he's on stage after goes on after Ed Sheeran. It's like no one cares about Ed Sheeran anymore, which I think is so funny. But
Yeah, I love that.
he's just like living in Jack's shadow. But when when Jack's like confessing his love to Lily's character Ellie, and Gavin's kind of just like okay with it towards the end. He's like, "Oh, I just want
That's
her
why
to
I
be
was
happy."
saying. Yeah, that's why I was saying Gavin's the hero because he's like that's
And then
so
that
noble
random
of him.
girl that they showed for like a hot second, I'm like,
Yeah. her
oh, okay,
roommate
so
showed
Gavin's
up,
gonna end
and
up
now
with her.
Gavin's with the hot roommate. I
don't know who she was. I can't remember.
think she might have been Ellie's sister.
Ellie had a sister? Like, we're finding a lot about Lily James's character. Ellie has a last name. She has a sister.
I'm maybe
she has
making
a
that up.
family. By the way, those kids towards the end, totally not his. I was like, I could see, you know, they're trying to get like some mixed kids in there because clearly it was a, you know, white woman and a middle Indian guy. I was like, those kids are looking too mighty light. But then again, it is what it is. I really don't
Those
care.
kids are looking mighty white. You hear her?
No, I said
Mighty light.
mighty light, not
Mighty light. You hear it?
What shade is the boy?
Okay.
Kind
Wow.
of like a caramel
So-
brown. No.
What shade is the boy? Regardless, on the whole, I think yesterday was a really good time. I had a fun
absolutely.
time, and if you get lost in it, it's not perfect, but if you're gonna enjoy, if you want to watch a movie that's going to make you feel good inside, and you can sort of turn your brain off and listen to some good songs, this is absolutely one of those movies.
Oh yeah, man. I was listening to Beatles all the way home.
Me too. It was full blast.
Yep.
all the olds around me were just really pumped that I was listening to it.
I was listening to it in my headphones. They really just didn't record them for headphones. They just that was not a thing.
No,
Yeah.
no, they did not.
It's horrible. You gotta listen to them on real speakers.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. But yeah,
Time for reviews. Ratings.
yeah. Well, yeah. I just want to say, Himesh, him singing, that was really
He's got a
good.
bright future for
He's
sure.
he's a star.
For sure.
Yeah.
I really like it when, you know, biopics or not this, even though this isn't a biopic, when musical movies, you know, the people actually sing. Looking at you, Rami Malek, but that's fine too. But yeah, let's get into reviews. I mean, not reviews, scores.
Ratings.
Wow.
Scores.
Ratings, scores. Whoever wants to go first, they can. I'll just go last. Do mine out of 100.
All right, I'll go first in the great tradition of going first. I think yesterday was a really good time. I've made that very clear. I think I'm going to go with a 75.
Oh, I was gonna say that too.
I think
Alright,
I think it had an excellent soundtrack, was, you know, looked really pretty. I think it was a bit long, and my grandma fell asleep a little bit in the middle, so I really nudged her back in one of those nudged her.
Oh no.
Oh, Granny.
But I think she had a good time on the whole. I wish that Jack was a little bit more likable as a character, and they set up him and Ellie's relationship, which I feel is the crux of the movie. I wish they set up that relationship differently. So
Yeah, there was no like background information. Like
Yeah,
they
they
did the
kinda just,
flashback
like-
to the show in 10th grade, but then other than that, there's nothing.
Yeah, they kind of just like throw you into it. They're like, hey, here's these two characters, and they're kind of sort of interested, but not really. And like, here's a little bit of a background because, you know, Jack likes to sing. So here's a flashback of him singing at a talent show when he was in like 4th grade. So you guys are both going 75 with 100.
Well, I'm gonna change mine now.
I mean, like, it can be the same score if you really wanted to.
I was planning on docking a few points just for the James Corden scene, anyways, because it was so stupid.
Man,
And I like James Corden too. That's
note to self: Devin hates James Corden.
no. I like James Corden, but that
Devin
scene was
hates
so
the Brits.
stupid and pointless.
Yeah.
So
Honestly,
anyways,
I thought it would have been cool if it was Graham Norton. personally.
I really did like the movie. I agree with everything Harlan said. I just dislike how the second half was just a really basic rom-com, and they didn't set it up enough for them to be able to transition into that like they tried to.
Hmm.
Other than that, the first half was just a really fun concept, really cool Beatles songs, and everything was very fun and energetic and bright. So I'm going with 73.
Ooh.
So
Well-
it's good. It's definitely good, but I think it could have been a lot better.
Oh, for sure. You know, I'm not gonna beat the dead horse. We all like the movie. But I think what really sold it for me was the fact that Himesh Patel sang during the entire film, and I'm a big Ed Sheeran fan myself, so I'm gonna give this a 78 out of
who isn't?
100.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
73,
very
75,
commendable.
78.
Yeah, like I think it's very commendable for just, you know, you like it's like, okay, you know, we're gonna have like, this music based movie, but you don't want to just play the soundtrack, because if I want, like, if you're just gonna play the soundtrack, I can just go listen to that on Spotify. The fact that, you know, Himesh Patel, he, you know, he's sang these covers, you know, he put his own little twists on them, and he has a really good voice. I mean,
His voice is beautiful.
it was kind of like Bradley Cooper. Like, who knew that guy could sing? I mean, like, no, he's not the best singer in the world, but like, it's good enough to be in the movie. So yeah,
Yeah, Himesh charmed the heck out of me.
he really did, man. So yeah, I'm going 78 out of 100, locked and loaded right then and there. No regrets, no givesies backsies. So yeah, that's it for me. Was there anything else you guys wanted to cover on that front before we wrap up here?
Go watch Always Be My Maybe, and then we can have a little debate.
Yeah, no, so we'll for those listening at home, and I actually forgot to say this during the beginning, but you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes, and Podbean as well if you're an audio.
Podbean.
Yeah.
Big Podbean.
It's our
Huge Podbean guy.
Are you really?
No.
Oh. I don't know who
disrespect
is, who
Podbean.
isn't. I was like, okay, like how do we get our stuff on Spotify and iTunes? And it's like, oh, you know, you have to create like an RSS feed. You have to have like a source of, you know. So like when this goes
It's a
up,
hassle.
like I upload it to Podbean, and since our RSS feed is already through iTunes and Spotify, it'll update through there. So it's like, you know, I'm sending it to the source, and the source is, you know, sending it out to all the other platforms that it's going to be on. But yeah, my mistake for not saying that earlier, but I'll probably just edit it out and put a little before we begin type thing. I mean, I feel like it's important to be like, hey, you know, you can whatever.
Yeah, Podbean. No, it's important.
Yeah, Podbean. Everyone Podbean. Yeah. No, I was like, oh, no, we need to be on Spotify and iTunes for sure. And I'm like, Podbean. I don't know a lot of people use that. But anyway, you can follow us on Twitter as well for everyone listening at home, at Broke Boy Media. That's broke_boy spelled BOI_media. And yeah, we will review Always Be My Maybe, because I definitely want us to do some Netflix stuff. And if you guys are down for it, I'm down to review some Stranger Things 3 for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I also watched Umbrella Academy if you want to catch up on that.
Oh, how many seasons? Just one, two?
Just one. There's gonna be like freaking 8 probably.
How many episodes?
I don't know, 8 or 10.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm assuming they're like an hour-long episodes though, since they're short. Okay, that's totally fine. But yeah, so we'll have those in the pipeline. Honestly, on 4th of July, I mean, I'm off work, but it's on a Thursday, so I probably will just watch Stranger Things 3. To be completely honest, I don't really plan on doing too much that day, but maybe something else during the weekend. And also, Spider-Man: Far From Home. Got to do that review as well, because that comes out this coming up Tuesday. So sounds like we have a plan.
Go
gentlemen.
see Annabelle Comes Home.
Oh,
I'm good, man. I'm done. Midsummer?
I'm
maybe?
giving Child's Play a 70. I'm just giving
I'm giving Annabelle a 60.
I'm giving Child's Play 65.
Hey.
Out of 100.
All right.
I don't know. But yeah, this has been the Broke Boy Media podcast. So we will see you guys in the next one.
Let me just give you this advice. Song title. Hey, dude.
Hey dude, are you sure?
Hey, dude.
It's so much better.
Dude it.